topics in a very short amount of time, I've developed my own learning philosophy, which I think would be helpful to share. First of all, the easiest way to learn something is by doing it the hard way. There's truly no substitute for getting your hands on code as soon and as often as possible. During our class orientation at V-School, I typically give an analogy about myself. So I've recently developed an interest in woodworking. I've read books, I've watched hours of YouTube videos, I've received new tools as gifts. However, none of those things has actually brought me any closer to becoming a skilled carpenter. It's not until I actually put in the hours of cutting, sanding, gluing, screwing things up, and finally, eventually, building things that I'm actually proud of, that I can say that I'm actually starting to become a skilled woodworker. As such, if you actually want to learn React well enough to be able to use it, you'll need to be actually writing React code. Most of the lessons in this course are followed up by an exercise that I fully expect you to put in real time and effort into accomplishing on your own. Now, if you decide to breeze through them the easy way without actually doing the exercises, you're actually kind of taking the hardest road possible to learning React. And along those lines, you should really use the Scrimba platform to its full potential. Throughout the course, I'll be having you pause the lesson and actually dive into the code, making changes. But even when I don't ask you to pause and play with the code, you should take the initiative to do it on your own and just be curious in general. Doing this is going to help you avoid what some call tutorial hell. And if you want some more information, there's a Medium blog post that I've linked here in the slides. The idea essentially being that you should get your hands on the code as much as possible. And by doing so, actually do the things. Okay, not just necessarily the exercises I ask you to do, but anything that you're interested and curious about. And as I mentioned, Scrimba is ideal for this sort of learning if you use it the right way. Another main point of my learning philosophy is that spaced learning and repetition are absolutely key for this information to actually stick in your mind. And one of the main tenets of spaced learning is that you don't just binge on the course. This kind of goes in line with the concept of tutorial hell, where it can be the easy way out to just binge on the course and feel like you're actually learning something when in reality your brain has been incapable of actually retaining the information. So as you're going through the course, make sure that you take frequent breaks. And I don't just mean for 5 or 10 minutes here or there, but finish a couple key principles, practice them quickly, and then rest your brain for the day. And when you come back to the course, don't be afraid to go back to previous courses and review them. Yes, it will obviously take a lot longer to complete the course that way, but it will be super beneficial to your learning. Okay, I'll get down from my soapbox for now, but I'll be reminding you of some of these things frequently throughout the course. So for now, let's quickly cover what you'll actually be learning. When we talk about React, we can't avoid the concept of components. Components in React are the core building block for making reusable pieces of HTML. And pretty much everything else that we talk about deals with how to use these components to build the web applications that we want to build. We'll also be talking about JSX, which is React's proprietary wrapper around JavaScript, and it simply lets you build components in a very familiar way using the HTML syntax that you're already familiar with. We'll also spend a little bit of time talking about styling your components. We'll get a chance to learn about props and how to pass data around your application. And when we talk about props, we oftentimes talk about state, which is how to maintain and change data in your application. We'll talk about event handling and how you can have strong interactivity with your users. We'll talk about lifecycle methods, which help you hook into different timing events of your React components. We'll talk about fetching data from an API using HTTP. We'll talk about forms and their role in creating a good user experience. And there's plenty more that we'll be covering in this course as well. Now, there's a few things that you should already know before taking this course, and honestly, it's just the basic building blocks: HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript, and ideally, a little bit of the updated syntax for JavaScript in ES6. If you're feeling rusty on any of these topics, I've included links on the logo that you can click, and it will take you to another free course here on Scrimba to brush up on that topic. Okay, that's plenty of talking for now. Let's actually dive into React.